You know I'm right, episode 38, right here on W Sports Radio Network. Nick Durst, joined, of course, by Joe Calabrese. Joe, the first week of the NFL season is in the books, but no one was really talking about that come Monday. Everybody was talking about our guy, Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen, here comes the money. Money. He comes in. Apparently, it's going to pay $2.45 billion for the New York Mets. This is fantastic news for the sport because, Joe, assuming Cohen wants to spend, and he is a lifelong Mets fan, he's going to want to have his team win. If you add up the total wealth of the top three richest owners in the MLB right now, they come in at $13 billion. If you take Steve Cohen's wealth, he's worth $14 billion. So, this is a good day. This is a good thing for the Mets, but until the vote goes through, you can't get excited if you're a fan of the orange and blue.
Yeah, congratulations, bud. The New York Mets finally have new ownership. And unfortunately, it didn't include A-Rod or Jennifer Lopez like we thought it possibly could have for months. But on the bright side, you get a guy who they basically created a Showtime show after. The show Billions is loosely based on a lot of the politics of the lower district of New York and deals a lot with the finance world. And one of the main characters is Bobby Axelrod, and Bobby Axelrod is a character who's loosely based off of the life of Steve Cohen. So you get a guy who's going to likely spend money almost immediately. He is a diehard Mets fan, and as mentioned previously on this podcast, he grew up in Queens. When we mentioned the Tom Seaver stuff the other day, he had a very heartfelt thing to say about this, so you know he's the real deal.
Yeah, he's finally going to get that Tom Seaver statue built. We've been hearing about that for years.
He is. Absolutely, he's going to get that built. I think it is an incredible shot in the arm to this franchise that absolutely needs it a little bit. And I think what makes this really appealing now is he's going to be a guy who's going to be the owner of the team for 365 days a year. What does that mean? Every year the Mets are going to be involved in the offseason, whether that's through a trade and acquiring a guy, whether that's going into free agency and dipping their toes there to see how they could upgrade their roster. They're going to have the financial means to do so now. You need a new manager. You know, we've talked previously about the possibility of Aaron Boone and Luis Rojas maybe being on the hot seat soon in New York. You need a new manager. You need to go out and pay a guy. You got the guy to do it, right? The Mets maybe this year kind of got all screwed up with the COVID stuff and the shortened season, but next year or the year after, hopefully if there is baseball, you know, we get a new collective bargaining agreement. Maybe the Nets come June, come July, they need an upgrade at the deadline. Guess what? Now the Mets have the means to go out and get the big guy who may have some money on his contract. They have the means of being able to do that, right? So the Mets now become a relevant 365-day a year franchise, which despite their payroll never so much being in the top 2 or 3, they were always kind of top 10, kind of top 12-ish. The Wilpons did not spend money, but for the magnitude of what we are, which we are in the biggest city in the world, we're in the biggest market in the world, the magnitude of this city, the Mets never spent to the magnitude of what New York City is. So now you get an owner who understands what he's coming in, and he's going to spend the money. He's going to spend the money on ways to improve the franchise. You know, like I said right at the top, congratulations, buddy. Again, not A-Rod and J-Lo. Unfortunately, that would have been a really nice thing to look forward to as well. But you get the guy who's worth as much as the 3 richest owners in Major League Baseball. And to me, and the Wilpons are no more. Ding dong, the Wilpons are dead. Absolute tremendous move all around. Mets fans have to be elated everywhere else. So like I said, congrats, buddy. You guys deserve it.
Well, we'll see. We don't know if the vote's going to go through. I think this offseason is going to be interesting because the vote is so late. It's in November. So even if it gets approved in November, you got to assume the deal isn't finalized until December. That means Brody's probably back for another year. Maybe Rojas is back too. And it's going to be interesting to see how the agents of these big free agents go about waiting things out in the offseason, especially considering the way that.
Well, if you look, guys out there like JT Realmuto, like Trevor Bauer, those are two guys right at the top. You know that if the process of this is expedited and it goes smoothly and everything goes correctly, maybe gets the okay almost instantaneously, even if it's from the Wilpons. Even if the Cohen movement doesn't really fully become official until like early next year, maybe they get the okay to spend the money to go out and get guys like that, much sooner.
Yeah,
that's
to me. I'm looking for him to say. So the big question is everything that comes with COVID-19, because a lot of teams took tremendous losses. So you might look at a guy, right, and maybe he, because of that, would say, all right, if I get a deal right off the bat in November or December, I'm going to automatically take that. But then you might say, oh, maybe I should wait for Steve Cohen, because I'm looking at some free agents here. We know Real Muto is going to be a Met most likely. The Mets they might sign maybe Dana Murphy back and that Todd Frazier. I love that. DJ LeMahieu, come across town. We'll take you there. Justin Turner's a free agent. Okay, George Springer's a free agent. Michael Brantley, Jock Peterson, Nelson Cruz, they probably wouldn't be interested in at this point. Kluber, he's got a club option. He's going to stay. But Trevor Bauer is going to be a Met. Tanaka's a free agent. Arrieta has a club option. He'll probably take that with the club. Stroman's a free agent, so maybe they want to revisit that. So they could do some immediate upgrades there. But where things get really interesting is going to be in 2021, 22. Because, just listen to this list of potential future Mets, Joe. You listening? Do you hear me?
I'm listening.
You got Freddie Freeman, who they got Alonso, they're set there, but, they got him there. You got Nolan Arenado, Chris Bryant, Francisco Lindor, Javi Baez, Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, Corey Seager, and as for the pitching side, you got Kershaw, he's not coming. Max Scherzer, he'll maybe take the money. Justin Verlander, he'll maybe take the money. And Zach Greinke. And in the bullpen, you got Kenley Jansen and Zach Britton and Archie Bradley. So that's going to be the offseason to watch when, Cohen's already in the job for a full year. There's going to be a lot there that he could spend on a couple of MVPs, former MVPs. But I think the first order of business has to be in this offseason into spring training. Cohen's got to call up Scott Boras and say, let's get this Conforto extension done right now.
Yeah, I was going to mention that at the very end. You kind of undercut me a little bit. That's going to be absolute the very first thing that gets done. Conforto this year has had a good year. A lot of guys have had a good year. Dom Smith's had a very good year. Well, not year. Well, we'll say a stretch of a month and a half. But, for what it's worth, these guys, especially the bats, came out ready to go. They have a couple of bats who are worthy of seeing some money, and that includes Michael Conforto. And obviously, you draft and you develop a guy, and then you to see his development fully through, which is what the Mets have done. And he has turned into a very nice player, and he has turned into a player worthy of a contract extension. So very first order of business, once everything is taken care of, is to obviously take care of your own, which would be to include Conforto and really continue to stabilize what core guys are already here. And then from there, you can add on, right? So, there are more guys available in this offseason, and then you already have your eyes set on 2 years from now when there's going to be a lot of guys that you could splurge and spend the money on. A lot of potential star power out there, and the Mets are going to be a power player now. So it's going to be really exciting the next year and a half for you guys. Like I said, congrats.
Looking back on extensions, right? Kudos to the Mets. How good is that Jacob deGrom extension looking right now? What a bargain.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was a late bloomer, and he was more than a late bloomer. He's been the best pitcher in baseball for 3.5 years now, 4 years. The only guys who are probably legitimately in his class are Kershaw when he's truly, truly on, and we've kind of seen the age starting to get to him over the last year or so, and then maybe Max Scherzer. But even then, I saw Max Scherzer give up 6 runs to the Braves on Sunday when I was working, right? So, and there are a few other guys, right? But again, none have the consistency and the basically the foregone conclusion that they're going to go out and they're going to go every 5th or 6th day and they're going to be able to take the ball and give up a run over 6 or 7 innings. That's what we've come to expect with Jacob deGrom. So yeah, absolutely. His contract's a bargain now, but at the time that they signed it, mostly everybody knew the Mets had to give him 4 or 5, 6 years, which is exactly what they did. And the money is totally fine because again, you're paying the best pitcher in baseball. So that proved to be just a really good negotiation. That proved to be just a really good situation that ultimately panned out for both sides there. So the expectation is hopefully if the Mets do continue to keep their own, which includes guys like Conforto, which includes guys like Syndergaard when he comes back, the expectation is hopefully if you give guys that the years like that and you give them that amount of money, obviously Syndergaard won't cost as much as DeGrom. We shall see. The expectation is that hopefully those moves end up panning out like that, and the Mets get a core group of guys locked into good deals that benefit both the team and the player.
Yeah, obviously the goal for Cohen and the Mets is going to be going to the postseason. Doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. 2 games out, 13 games left, so they won't be in those postseason bubbles. But, Joe, there is going to be postseason bubbles. It has been announced that the AL will be playing in the Petco Park and the Dodger Stadium, and the NL teams will be playing at Globe Life and Minute Maid Park, and the World Series will be at Globe Life Park, the home of the Texas Rangers. What do you think about this? And you think it's a smart idea, and you think it's going to impact the play at all?
I don't think it's really going to impact the play so much. I think when they decided to choose the ballparks, obviously you have the 2 ballparks in California, you have the 2 ballparks in Texas. Obviously they wanted to go south, they wanted to go west, they wanted to go to places where predominantly you're probably going to see a little warmer than average temperatures during this period of the year. And obviously with the expanded playoffs, that means that there's the possibility that the World Series could maybe dip over into November. It's likely, I think, given the circumstances with the extra playoff series involved, unless all the playoff series kind of just turn on like normal. If we have some shortened series, then you could probably get it all done, maybe by the end of October. But I've seen Globe Life Park. It's very conducive to some hitting so far. Petco Park is notoriously known for being a pitcher's park, right? Houston, we've seen in recent years with the Astros making their playoff runs. So I think overall, for the most part, I don't think any particular team is going to have any type of advantage. And I like the fact that they have the American League playing in San Diego and LA, which means no fan base really has the expectation to have a home field advantage type of situation. The Angels right now are below 500, and for all intents and purposes, unless they win basically out, they're going to be out, right? And no team in the National League is going to have that distinction. So, to me, the bubbles are fine. I don't like necessarily that the World Series is going to be played on a neutral field. I think for what it's worth, they maybe could have had an opportunity by the time that time period rolls around. Because, again, it's still about a month and a half away. To me, it would have been nice to at least see the World Series played at each team's home field or home location. That is the one thing that I think.
I think they're just scared about flying cross country.
See, I understand for all intents and purposes. I think the bubbles are a good idea. I think they worked for the NBA. I think they worked for the NHL. Basically, everything was.